I'll never forget the moment I heard the words that changed everything. Standing at the door of what should have been a warm family dinner, I heard her voice cut through the laughter inside. "Those shoes are ancient, Robert. Please take them off before you dirty my Persian rug." "My rug," she called it. My hands froze. The cold November air behind me felt warmer than the chill running down my spine. I looked down at my brown leather shoes, the ones Margaret had bought me 15 years ago for our anniversary. They were polished, clean, well-maintained. But that wasn't the point, was it? Patricia Morrison, my daughter-in-law's mother, stood with her arms crossed, looking at me like a stray dog that had wandered onto her property. Her eyes swept from my shoes to my face, and I saw it clearly. Disgust. "Of course," I said quietly, slipping them off. The wooden floor felt cold beneath my socks. The same wooden floor I had laid with my own hands in 1987, spending 3 weekends on my knees. What Patricia didn't know, couldn't know, was this. This wasn't her home. It was mine. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, please hit subscribe and let me know where you're listening from in the comments. If this story resonates with you, don't forget to like and share it. My name is Robert Chen. I'm 68 years old, and I taught math at Portland Community College for 40 years. Math was my language, my refuge, my universe of logic. Numbers are beautiful because they don't lie. 2 plus 2 always equals 4. The sum of the interior angles of a triangle is always 180 degrees. There are no exceptions, no gray areas. Numbers don't smile at you, then stab you in the back. They don't call you dad, then banish you to your own kitchen. People aren't like numbers. I learned this the hard way. I bought the house at 847 Maple Grove Drive in September 1984. I was 32, newly married, black-haired, bursting with plans. Margaret and I didn't have much, but our dreams could have filled the whole street. We couldn't even afford a honeymoon. Just 2 nights in a small roadside motel outside the city. But we were happy. Incredibly, foolishly, gloriously happy. Margaret was pregnant, our first child. Every evening I'd place my hand on her belly, waiting for a flutter of movement. "He'll be a math professor," I'd whisper. Margaret would laugh. "Or an artist, or a musician, or whatever he wants to be." When we first saw the house, Margaret's eyes filled with tears. It was small, 2 stories, whitewashed, the front yard a little neglected. But Margaret looked at the garden and saw something I didn't. The flowers, the greenery, the lawn where children would run. "This," she said, squeezing my hand, "is our home, Robert." I can feel it. The house was $180,000. I was making $28,000 a year. The banker frowned. "Mr. Chen, it'll be difficult for you to qualify for this loan." But I'm a mathematician. I did the math. I calculated everything. I needed $36,000 for the down payment, 20%. If I saved 40% of my salary, I'd have that money in 3 years. $930 a month. Margaret and I stayed in our apartment. We didn't buy a TV. No restaurants, no vacations, no new clothes. Margaret worked until 2 weeks before giving birth. We got baby clothes from neighbors. Most of our furniture came from curbsides, fixed and painted by hand. 3 years. Exactly 1,095 days later, I walked back into that bank and laid a check on the counter. $36,000. The clerk blinked. "Mr. Chen, you really did it." "I told you," I said. "Math doesn't lie." We moved in on Margaret's 26th birthday. We had no furniture, just an air mattress and a picnic basket. We sat on the living room floor, leaning against freshly painted walls. Margaret was glowing. David, asleep in his carrier. "We did it," she whispered. "We did," I said. you and me. That house was our everything, not just a structure. It was the physical embodiment of our dreams, our hopes, our love. We built every wall, every plank, every corner together. Literally, not metaphorically, we really built it. In 1987, I renovated the dining room. I learned crown molding from library books and TV tutorials. My hands were cut and splintered, my back on fire, but Margaret believed in me. "You're a mathematician," she'd say. "Angles and measurements are your thing. You can do it." Weeks passed. The white molding curved perfectly around the ceiling, seamless and proud. David was 7 then. He loved helping, handing me nails, holding pieces of trim. One Saturday he said, "Dad, when I grow up, I'm going to build houses like you." I climbed down the ladder and crouched to his eye level. I held his dusty little hands. "David," I said, "you can do anything you want. Be a construction engineer, an architect, an astronaut, whatever you want. But remember, the value of a house isn't in its bricks. It's in the love inside it. Look at your mother and me. We're building this house with love. Every nail is a kiss. Every piece of wood is a hug." He nodded, half understanding, but smiling wide. In 1989, Rachel was born, our daughter. A copy of Margaret. Same brown eyes, same thoughtful gaze. The day we brought Rachel home from the hospital, I stood in the doorway, holding her in my arms. "Welcome home, my princess," I whispered. "You'll be safe here, loved, protected." The kids grew up. We painted David's bedroom together, first blue, then green, then black during his teenage rebellion. We built shelves in Rachel's room for her books. Margaret planted flowers in the garden. We cooked thousands of meals in the kitchen. We watched thousands of movies in the living room. Every year, every month, every day, something was added to that house. Not just something physical, a memory, a laugh, a tear, an embrace. The walls absorbed them, the ceilings hid them, the floor protected them. Then came the sickness. March 2021. Spring had come, but Margaret was getting weaker. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctors said in that cold, clinical voice, "There's nothing we can do." 6 months. They gave us 6 months. I lost Margaret in our bedroom upstairs, the room we had shared for 36 years. Morning sunlight streamed through the window. Birds chirped in the garden. I held her hand. It was very cold. Her last words were, "Protect the house, Robert. Protect our story." "I promise," I said. "I promise, sweetheart." But I lied. I understand that now. I didn't keep that promise. After Margaret died, the house became unbearable. Every corner was a memory. Every room held a ghost. I'd wake up in the mornings and, for one brief second, forget she was gone. Then I'd look at her empty pillow and remember all over again. I stopped using the kitchen. I couldn't look at the counter where she brewed her morning coffee or the window where she kept her flowers. I couldn't step into the dining room. The empty chair across from me was louder than any sound. Eventually, I stopped sleeping upstairs altogether. I moved to the couch, surrounded by silence. David visited from time to time. He was worried. "Dad, you can't live like this. You're not eating, not showering, not going outside." "I'm fine, son," I'd say. But I wasn't. I was breaking, piece by piece, silently. 4 months later, David showed up with his wife, Jennifer. We sat in the living room, a pot of untouched coffee between us. "Dad," David started carefully, "I lost my job. The company downsized. We've been looking for months, but nothing's come through." Jennifer spoke softly. We're thinking of moving in with my parents until we get back on our feet. David couldn't meet my eyes. He looked small, embarrassed. My son, once so confident, sat before me, defeated. "How much do you have left?" I asked. "2 months' rent," he said. "After that, I don't know." I looked at him. My boy. The same boy who once handed me nails when we built the dining room. "Move in here," I said. He blinked. "What?" "This house, it's too big for me anyway. Stay until things get better." Jennifer's eyes welled up. "Robert, are you serious?" "Of course," I said. "Margaret would have wanted it." And that's how they moved in. We even made it official. A family support agreement my lawyer drafted. David would buy the house at fair market value within 5 years or move out. The house was worth $520,000 then. "I'll buy it, Dad," David said, signing the paper. 5 years, I promise." "There's no rush," I told him. "Just be happy." I moved into a small apartment across town. Old building, thin walls, no view. But it didn't matter. David was safe. That was enough. The first few months were good. David called often. Jennifer invited me over for Sunday dinners. Sitting in that kitchen again, my kitchen, filled me with bittersweet joy. I'd built those cabinets with Margaret. Now my son and his wife filled them with their lives. Then Jennifer got pregnant, and everything changed. The calls slowed. The invitations stopped. "We're just exhausted," Jennifer would say, polite but distant. I understood, or at least I thought I did. They were starting their own family. Then came Patricia. The first time I saw her was by accident. I'd come by to pick up a misdirected piece of mail. Jennifer opened the door, surprised. "Robert." "Oh, if we'd known. My mom's here." "Your mother?" And then Patricia appeared, tall, sharp, dressed in expensive clothes with a pearl necklace. She looked down at me, ironic, since I was actually taller than her. "You must be Robert," she said without extending her hand. "Patricia Morrison, Jennifer's mother." "Nice to meet you," I replied, but she only nodded. When I stepped inside, I froze. My living room, our living room, was unrecognizable. Margaret's cozy furniture was gone. In its place were modern, hard-edged black and white pieces. Family photos had vanished. Abstract art hung in their place. The cream walls Margaret loved were now cold gray. What happened here?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Patricia gave a sharp laugh. "We redecorated, of course. This place was horribly outdated. Jennifer and I started a few months ago. Isn't it much better?" I looked around, speechless. The hours Margaret and I spent choosing curtains, colors, patterns, gone. But these were Margaret's choices. Patricia raised an eyebrow. "Who's Margaret?" I felt my chest tighten. "My wife," I said quietly. "My wife of 36 years. My wife who died in this house." Patricia hesitated, only for a second. Then she smiled again, thin and cold. "Oh, my condolences. But Robert, life goes on. Young people need to make the house their own." Something inside me cracked then. Not anger, something deeper, colder. David appeared, looking nervous. "Dad, I didn't know you were coming. Patricia's helping us with the nursery." "The nursery?" I asked. "Which room?" "Rachel's old room," he said, eyes down. "It's perfect for the baby." Rachel's room. The shelves we built for her books. The pastel wallpaper she picked. Now a nursery. I just nodded. Okay. But inside, I didn't understand. Over the next months, Patricia was always there. She moved through the house like she owned it, giving instructions, criticizing, rearranging. Every visit, something else had changed. Margaret's garden, gone. the roses and lavender she loved replaced with decorative stones and minimalist shrubs. "Gardening is too hard," Jennifer explained apologetically. "There won't be time with a baby." The oak tree, the tree David and I planted when he was 5, had been horribly pruned. Its branches cut off, its trunk like a skeleton. "It was blocking the light," Patricia said coldly. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was overreacting. I told myself this was David's new life. But every time I went back, I felt like a stranger in my own story. Then came Emma's birth, my granddaughter. When I saw her through the hospital glass, I cried. She had Margaret's eyes, soft brown with a little spark in them. "Hello, Emma," I whispered. "I'm your grandfather. Your grandmother would have loved you so much." But Patricia was there too. "Robert," she said with a polite smile, "make sure your hands are clean before touching the baby." When I offered to help change a diaper, she laughed. "That's a woman's job, dear." It started small, subtle. Then it grew. Fewer visits, shorter conversations. "Robert, we're tired. Maybe another week." I tried to understand. They were young, busy, tired, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was pushing me out. Then, one night, the phone rang. "Dad," David said, voice cracking, "we can't make the mortgage this month. The bank's threatening foreclosure." My stomach dropped. My house. Margaret's house. "How much?" $2,800. "I'll send it." "Dad, I didn't mean—" "I said I'll send it. And I did. Every month. And the next month. And the next." 6 months later, the mortgage was safe, but David wasn't earning much. "We're okay now, Dad," he said. "No need to send more." But then came new calls. Daycare is expensive. Jennifer's student loans are piling up. The car broke down. There was always something, always a need, and I always said yes, because that's what fathers do. Over the next 3 years, I sent money, $4,200 a month. That's half my pension, $152,000 in total. But there was more. David's wedding, $32,000. Jennifer's student loans, $28,000. A new car, $18,000. Her surgery, $12,400. Furniture Patricia picked, $8,000. $300,000. I kept the receipts, every transfer, every message. "Thank you so much, Dad. You're our savior. I don't know what we'd do without you. The best dad in the world." But Patricia never knew. To her, I was just an old man hovering around their perfect life. Until one afternoon, I overheard her talking to a neighbor. I was in the kitchen feeding Emma, who was giggling with a spoonful of mashed banana. "My daughter's so lucky," Patricia was saying. "David's a wonderful husband. They bought a beautiful house and he takes such good care of her." The neighbor asked, "Doesn't Robert help?" Patricia laughed. "That old man?" No. David and Jennifer did it all themselves. He just drops by sometimes. But honestly, he's a bit of a burden." A burden. The word stabbed me in the chest like a knife. $300,000. 40 years of home ownership. Every mortgage payment, every repair, every tax bill. And I was the burden. I smiled at Emma, even as my hands shook. "Your grandmother would have loved you," I whispered. Emma smiled back and smeared banana on my shirt. I laughed, because if I didn't, I'd cry. A week before that dinner, I called David. It had been months since we'd properly spoken. I missed Emma, missed hearing her tiny voice on the phone. "Hello, Dad," he said, distracted. I could hear the TV in the background. "David, how are you?" We haven't spoken in a long time. Well, we're busy. Work, the baby. Patricia is here. Patricia. Always Patricia. I was thinking of stopping by this Saturday when I said, I'd like to see Emma. I want to bring her some old photos of you and Rachel as children. There was a pause. Too long. Dad, this week isn't really convenient. Why? Patricia is in town, and we're having a dinner party on Saturday night. Work colleagues, important people. You understand. I understand, I said. But did I? Maybe another time. Actually, Dad, David cut me off, his voice tense. Patricia has, certain views about presentation, about entertaining. It's important for business relationships. Maybe it would be better if you didn't come this time. I was holding the phone, but my hand had gone numb. I heard the words, but their meaning was hard to grasp. My son. My son was telling me not to come to my own home. Business relationships, I repeated, my voice robotic. Yes, you understand, don't you? Just this time, okay? You can come another time. Something inside me died. Quietly, painlessly. I'll be there at 6, David, I said, my voice cold, because it's still legally my home, and I want to see my granddaughter. I hung up before he could argue. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Memories, calculations, questions. When did I become so weak? When did I become a burden instead of a father? When did I become a guest in my own home? At one point, I sat up and whispered to the photo on my bedside table. What should I do, sweetheart? Tell me. But Margaret only smiled, frozen in that picture, forever young, forever happy. By Thursday morning, I'd made my decision. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew I had to face it. I had to see it with my own eyes. I called Rachel in Boston. Dad, she said brightly. Everything okay? I need to ask you something. Legal. Her voice changed immediately, from daughter to lawyer. Of course, Dad. What's wrong? That family support agreement I signed with David. It said he had to buy the house or move out within 5 years. That time's up. Can I get it back? There was a long silence. Dad, she said carefully. What's happening? Just answer me. She exhaled. Yes, legally you can terminate it. Give 60 days written notice. He has to leave. And the money I sent him? What money? All of it. For 3 years, mortgage, bills, everything. About $300,000 in total. Dad, Rachel's voice trembled. You never told me that. I didn't want to bother you. Oh my God, she whispered. That's your retirement. How are you living? I manage, I lied. There was silence again. Then her voice turned firm, the same tone she used in court. I'll prepare the paperwork. You'll have it in 3 days. Termination notice, eviction order, financial accounting, everything. And Dad? Yes? You're doing the right thing. Mom would be proud. When she said that, something in me steadied. For the first time in years, I felt anchored. Saturday arrived cold and sharp. I woke before dawn. I shaved, dressed carefully. Navy trousers, white shirt, the cardigan Margaret had knitted 20 years ago. Worn but soft. Then I polished my brown shoes, her anniversary gift. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. An old man stared back, hair white, eyes tired. But there was a spark there again. Tonight, I said to the shoes, I'm wearing you for the last time. Then everything will change. At 11, Rachel called. I'm on a plane, she said, landing at 2. You don't have to fly all the way here. I do, she interrupted. You shouldn't face them alone. When she arrived that afternoon, I barely recognized her. The same brown eyes as her mother, full of determination. She hugged me tight. "If I had known what he was doing to you." "You know now," I said simply. She spread the documents across the table, stamped, signed, notarized. "Once you sign, they have 60 days to vacate," she said. I signed every page without hesitation. Rachel looked up. "Dad, are you sure? This might destroy what's left of your relationship with David." "My relationship with him," I said, "ended the moment his mother-in-law told me I could eat in my own kitchen." At 6 o'clock, Rachel and I drove to Maple Grove Drive. The house glowed from the street, laughter spilling from open windows, cars lined in the driveway. From the outside, it looked perfect, warm, alive. Rachel parked and turned to me. "Are you ready?" I took a deep breath. "I'm ready." I walked up to the door. The November air cut through me, but inside I could hear music, voices, clinking glasses. I pressed the doorbell. 3 minutes passed before someone answered. When the door opened, Jennifer stood there, elegant dress, hair pinned, makeup flawless. Her smile froze when she saw me. "Robert!" We didn't expect you." "I told David I'd come," I said. She hesitated, holding the door only half open. "We're entertaining guests tonight." "I'm a guest too," I said softly. "May I come in?" She stepped aside. She couldn't refuse. The house was still legally mine. Warmth hit me immediately. The smell of roasted meat, the hum of conversation, the soft glow of candlelight. This had once been my home, but now it felt like stepping into a stranger's dream. And then Patricia appeared. She was radiant, dressed in a long blue dress, pearls around her neck, a martini in hand. She looked me over from head to toe and stopped at my shoes. Her lips curled. "Those shoes are ancient, Robert. Please take them off before you soil my Persian rug." My rug. The room fell silent. Conversations died mid-sentence. Dozens of eyes turned toward me. I looked at Patricia, this woman who had erased my wife's touch from every wall, and realized she didn't even see me as human. "Of course," I said quietly. I bent down. My knees amaze ached as I untied the laces Margaret had once chosen. I removed my right shoe, then the left. The cold wood pressed against my socks, the same floor I had installed myself 40 years ago. When I straightened up, Patricia was already laughing with her friends. I was invisible again. Rachel stood at the end of the hallway, her face red with anger. She took a step forward, but I shook my head. "Not yet." I walked into the living room. Everything was unfamiliar. Modern furniture, abstract art, sterile colors. Through the archway, I saw the dining room. 8 people sat around the table. Margaret's mahogany table, her china, her crystal glasses. Laughter hung in the air like perfume. David stood near the cupboard, pretending to check his phone. He saw me. I knew he saw me, and he turned away. My son. My son. Too ashamed to speak. I walked to the head of the table, my chair, the one I'd sat in for 30 years of dinners, birthdays, holidays. I reached for it. And then Patricia's voice cut through the air. "Robert, dear," she said sweetly, "I think it would be more appropriate if you ate in the kitchen tonight." The words hit harder than any slap. She continued, turning to her guests as if explaining something reasonable. "We have important company, and to be honest, Robert's table manners can be a little rustic. We wouldn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable, would we?" The room went still, heavy, breathless. A man cleared his throat. A woman looked down. Gerald, Patricia's husband, shifted awkwardly in his chair. I looked at David. His face was red, his eyes glued to the floor. Say something, I thought. Defend me. Tell them this is my home. But he didn't. Not a word. Jennifer stared into her wineglass like it could save her. Patricia smiled. The kitchen's just over there, Robert. Jennifer set aside a nice plate for you. Modest but sufficient. You understand, don't you? This is beyond your level, beyond my level. When I bought this house at 32, when I saved every penny for 3 years, when I renovated the dining room with my own hands, when Margaret died here, when I paid $300,000, it was beyond my level. Something inside me broke, but there was no sound of breaking, just clarity, an icy, mathematical clarity. Of course, I said. My voice was calm, controlled. Of course, Patricia. I understand perfectly. I turned, pushed the chair back under the table, and walked out. In the kitchen, there was a single plate on the counter. Lukewarm food, no chair, no napkin. A plate meant for a servant. I didn't touch it. I grabbed my coat from the rack, the same coat I'd worn when Margaret and I first moved in. I slipped it on, my feet bare against the floor I once built. Then I left through the back door, the servant's door. The November night hit my face. Cold, sharp, merciless, but it wasn't colder than the fire inside me. When I got back to my apartment that night, it was already dark. Portland glimmered below, lights from 1,000 homes, lives I was no longer part of. Rachel didn't speak as she parked the car. She just reached for my arm and held it until we climbed the narrow, creaking stairs to the 3rd floor. Inside, she broke. Not quietly. She collapsed onto the sofa, sobbing into her hands. "How could he?" she whispered. "You're his father, Dad." "You gave him everything." I stood in the middle of the room, still wearing my coat. I hadn't even taken off my shoes. I felt hollow, weightless. "Rachel," I said softly, "don't cry." "How can I not?" she said, looking up, eyes swollen and red. "They sent you to the kitchen." "The kitchen, Dad. In your own home." "A burden," I said quietly. That's what she called me. Rachel's face twisted with rage. "They don't deserve you." I sat down on the old couch, the same spot I slept in after Margaret died. I took off my coat, my shoes, my socks. I looked at my feet. They were swollen, veined, old. These were the feet that had built the house, carried David to school, danced with Margaret in the living room. Tonight, they had been stripped bare so I wouldn't dirty a rug I'd paid for. Rachel came and sat beside me. "What are we going to do, Dad?" I stared at Margaret's photo on the table, her smile frozen in time. "I promised her I'd protect the house," I whispered. "I failed her." Rachel grabbed my hand. "No, Dad. You didn't fail. You gave, you loved. David took advantage of that." Her words were steady, but her voice shook. "What should I do?" I asked. For the first time, I truly didn't know. Math couldn't fix this. The equation didn't balance. Rachel straightened her back. Her lawyer self emerged. "You have 3 options," she said. "First, do nothing. Keep sending money, keep being humiliated, keep being their safety net." "No," I said instantly. "Never again." "Second, talk to them. Try to reason with David and Jennifer. Maybe—" "They won't understand," I interrupted. "David saw me tonight. He saw me take off my shoes. He saw me walk to the kitchen. He didn't say a word. If he couldn't speak then, he ever will." Rachel nodded slowly. "Then there's the 3rd option," she said. "Justice. Take the house back." The word lingered in the air, cold, heavy, precise. Justice. Justice, I repeated. That sounds simple when you say it. It's not simple, she said, but it's right. I turned to the window. The city glowed faintly below. If I do this, I said, David will never forgive me. Dad, Rachel said quietly, he's already lost you. He just doesn't realize it yet. Patricia poisoned him. Jennifer's too weak to fight her. But Emma, what about Emma? What will she learn watching all this? I looked at her, startled. Emma? Yes. When she grows up, she'll remember how her grandfather was treated, how her father stayed silent. If you do nothing, you're teaching her that love means weakness, that family means exploitation, that kindness gets punished. Her words hit harder than Patricia's ever could. Rachel was right. This wasn't just about me. It was about the story Emma would inherit. I looked at Margaret's photo again. She wasn't just smiling anymore. I could almost see approval in her eyes. I'll do it, I said quietly. Rachel froze. What? I'll take the house back. I'll evict them. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Rachel smiled through tears. You're doing the right thing, Dad. We stayed up all night. The kitchen light burned until dawn. Rachel worked like a machine, scanning papers, checking legal clauses, organizing evidence. I brewed coffee after coffee. Okay, Dad, she said at last, opening her laptop. Let's make a step-by-step plan. Everything clean, documented, airtight. Step 1, I asked. Serve the termination notice. Monday morning. Hand-delivered, notarized, with a witness. When? 2 days from now. They won't expect it. It's better that way. I nodded. Step 2. Once they're out, we list the house immediately. The market's strong, 680,000, maybe more. Sell it, I said flatly. The words tasted strange. Sell it, she confirmed. Step 3. You buy yourself a new apartment. Modern building, elevator, safe neighborhood. 2 bedrooms, 1 for guests. I tried to picture it. A life without that house, without Margaret's walls. It hurt, but it also felt lighter. Step 4? I asked. Rachel hesitated. Donate part of it. Donate? To the Portland Veterans Housing Initiative, she said. They help homeless veteran families. You'd be giving 6 families a home. I thought about it. The idea felt right. Clean, mathematical. How much? 50,000, maybe 100. You'll still be more than comfortable. 100, I said. It's settled. Rachel smiled. Mom would be proud. We worked through the numbers. Sale, 680,000. Taxes and fees, about 130,000. Net, 550. New apartment, 300. Donation, 100. Savings left, 150. Math, simple, balanced, fair. But justice, real justice, never feels simple. Step 5, Rachel added quietly. Write David a letter. A letter? Yes, explain why you did it. He might not understand now, but one day he will. The next morning I woke early. The city was still gray, the streets silent. Rachel was asleep on the couch under a blanket. I brewed coffee and sat at my small desk by the window. Margaret's old fountain pen lay in a drawer. I took it out. The ink still flowed smoothly. I placed a blank sheet in front of me. The white space stared back like a challenge. I began slowly, my hands shaking not from age, but from resolve. David, my hands are shaking as I write this letter. Not from old age, from anger, pain, disappointment, but also from determination. Because what I'm doing is right, for you and for me. I've made many difficult decisions in 68 years. Marrying your mother was easy, Buying our house was hard. Becoming a teacher was hard. But this is the hardest of them all. When your mother died, my world collapsed, David. When you live with someone for 36 years, they become a part of you. Your breathing, your heartbeat, your way of thinking, it all becomes intertwined with theirs. When your mother died, I died too. I was left incomplete. You came to me needing help, and for the first time since she was gone, I felt needed again. I gave you the house. I gave you money. I gave you everything I had, not because you asked, but because I wanted to feel like a father again. $300,000, David, 6 years of my salary, and all I ever wanted in return was respect. A seat at the table, a place in your family. When Patricia told me to take off my shoes, you said nothing. When she sent me to the kitchen, you said nothing. You let her erase me from my own life. I am not angry anymore. I am done being angry. I am only certain. You will receive a legal notice today. You have 60 days to vacate. The house will be sold. It's my right, and it's my duty. I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm doing it to protect something greater. Your mother's memory and Emma's future. I want Emma to grow up knowing that kindness is strength, not weakness. That respect matters more than comfort. That love without dignity isn't love at all. Maybe one day, when you are older, you'll understand. Maybe when Emma treats you the way you once treated me, you'll open this letter and finally see what I saw. I love you, David. I always will. But I won't be your victim anymore. Math doesn't lie, and neither does justice. Your loving but no longer waiting father, Robert Chen. When I finished, I folded the letter neatly and sealed it in an envelope. On the front, I wrote in my careful old handwriting, "To my son." Rachel woke up soon after. Her hair was messy, eyes puffy, but she smiled when she saw me holding the envelope. "You wrote it," she said. "I did." "Can I read it?" I hesitated, then handed it over. She read it slowly, tears forming as she reached the end. "Perfect," she whispered. "It's strong, but still full of love. It'll break him one day." "He won't read it now," I said. "Not yet." "One day he will," she said. "And when he does, he'll finally understand." Monday morning arrived cold and pale. The kind of morning that feels like it's holding its breath. Rachel had already dressed for court. Charcoal suit, hair pulled back, eyes sharp. She looked so much like Margaret. In those moments it hurt to look at her too long. "Are you sure you want to come with me, Dad?" she asked, stacking the documents in her leather folder. "I built that house," I said. "I'll be there when I take it back." We drove in silence. The city rolled past in shades of gray, wet asphalt, leafless trees, small patches of frost on car roofs. Rachel turned on the heater, but I kept my hands in my lap. I didn't feel cold. Not anymore. When we reached Maple Grove Drive, David's car was already in the driveway. Jennifer's too. Patricia's silver Lexus gleamed beside them like something smug. Rachel parked behind it and turned to me. "Ready?" "Yes." We walked up the path together. The roses were gone, of course. Patricia had pulled them out the previous summer. In their place, short ornamental bushes, trimmed, sterile, lifeless. I rang the bell. Patricia opened the door, wearing a cream robe and holding a coffee mug that said "Number Boss Lady." "Oh," she said, eyebrows lifting. "You again?" Her tone was a mixture of amusement and annoyance, the way people talk to a solicitor at their door. Behind her, David appeared. His expression shifted from surprise to discomfort to guilt, all in the span of 2 seconds. "Dad," he said, "what's going on?" Rachel stepped forward, voice steady and professional. "Good morning. I'm Rachel Chen, attorney at law. This is a formal termination notice and demand for possession of property pursuant to the support agreement dated May 3, 2019. Patricia blinked, not processing it. I'm sorry. What? Rachel handed her the envelope. Effective immediately, you have 60 days to vacate these premises. All rights of occupancy are hereby revoked. David's face went pale. What are you doing? He said, turning to me. Taking back what your mother and I built, I answered. He looked at me like he didn't recognize me. You can't just... Dad, this is insane. Insane? I said. You sent me to eat in the kitchen. Patricia scoffed. Oh, for heaven's sake. Are we really doing this? Over some dinner seating? Rachel turned her gaze on her. Calm, lethal. Mrs. Morrison, my father has financial records showing over $300,000 transferred to your household over 3 years, without written repayment. That's not dinner seating. That's elder financial abuse. Patricia's face drained of color. You can't prove anything. Rachel smiled faintly. We already have. David ran his hands through his hair, pacing. Dad, please. You don't understand. Patricia's been helping us manage things. Manage? I interrupted. You mean control. She took your mother's home, your wife's voice, and your daughter's childhood. And you let her. He flinched. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Behind him, Jennifer appeared, clutching Emma. Her eyes were swollen. She'd been crying. Robert, she whispered, please don't do this. Emma loves this house. So did Margaret, I said softly. But you took that from her. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air was thick, heavy with things unsaid. Then Rachel broke the silence. You have 60 days. We'll follow up in writing. Have a good day. She turned and walked down the steps. I followed slowly, each step deliberate, final. Behind us, Patricia hissed something under her breath. David said nothing. When we reached the car, Rachel exhaled shakily. It's done. I looked back at the house, my house, standing silent against the cloudy sky. It's not done, I said. Not yet. But it will be. The next weeks passed in fragments. Emails, calls, notices, deadlines. Rachel handled everything. I barely spoke. At night, I walked through my small apartment like a ghost. The city outside buzzed, alive, but I was somewhere else. Back in that house, counting the years, the walls, the debts unpaid. Then one morning, a message from Rachel. Subject, confirmation. Body, so. They're moving out next week. Closing set for March 1st. I read the words 3 times. It didn't feel real. That Saturday, I drove to Maple Grove one last time. No more cars in the driveway. The curtains half open, boxes stacked by the door. I stood by the mailbox and watched David carry a box labeled kitchen. He froze when he saw me. Dad, he said quietly. David. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he put the box down and walked over. His face looked older, lines around the eyes, stubble, exhaustion. I didn't think you'd come, he said. I wanted to make sure the lock works. He gave a tired laugh. You really went through with it. I did. He looked at the ground. Patricia's furious. Jennifer's moving in with her for now. I don't know what happens next. That's between you and yourself, I said. And Emma. He nodded slowly. She keeps asking where Grandpa is. I swallowed hard. Tell her I'm still here. There was silence. Then David reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small object, a photograph. It was old, edges worn. Margaret and I, young and smiling, holding baby David in front of the house. I found this in the attic, he said. You should have it. I took it carefully. My hands shook. Thank you. I'm sorry, Dad, he said, voice cracking. For everything. I looked at him. My son, my boy. Then learn from it, I said. Don't ever let pride cost you family again. He nodded, eyes wet. Goodbye, Dad. Goodbye, son. He turned, picked up the box, and disappeared inside. A week later, Rachel called from her office. It's sold, she said. 690,000. The check's been transferred. I didn't answer at first. Dad? I heard you. You okay? Yes, I said. Just thinking. That night, I poured myself a small glass of whiskey. For the first time in years, I opened the window wide and let the cold air in. I took out Margaret's photo, the same one I'd kept by my bed. I set it on the windowsill beside the glass. It's done, I told her. He's safe now, in a different way. Not in comfort, but in lesson. The wind stirred the curtains. Somewhere outside, a siren wailed, then faded. 2 weeks later, I moved into my new apartment, 9th floor, facing west. From the balcony, I could see the river and the bridge glowing in evening light. The room smelled of fresh paint and new beginnings. I unpacked slowly, box by box, arranging things with care. Margaret's books, our wedding photo, the small brass lamp we'd bought in '89. When I finished, I sat in the armchair by the window and opened my laptop. Rachel had sent me photos from the Veterans Housing Initiative. 6 families standing in front of small homes, smiling. I stared at the screen for a long time. Math doesn't lie. 1 act of loss had turned into 6 acts of hope. I raised my glass toward the window. To balance, I whispered. Outside, it began to snow, soft, slow, quiet. The first snow of the season. Each flake drifted down like forgiveness. I closed my eyes. For the first time in years, I felt peace. 3 months later, a letter arrived. A handwritten envelope. David's handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. Dad, writing this letter is the hardest thing. But I have to write it, because I've been silent for 3 months, and silence is the worst lie. You were right. You were right about everything. I excused myself by saying Patricia was pressuring me. I blamed it on Jennifer being stressed. I blamed it on Emma being sick. But the truth is, I was afraid. I was afraid of Patricia's anger. I was afraid of Jennifer's disappointment. I was afraid of losing my comfort. And you were my safe bank. Always there, always giving, never asking. I exploited you, Dad. That's the word. Exploited. When Patricia told you to take off your shoes that Saturday night, I felt sick to my stomach, but I kept quiet. When she sent you to the kitchen, it hurt me, but I kept quiet. Why? Because I was weak. Because you were strong and I was weak. Because I knew you would forgive me. You always did. But this time you didn't. And you had every right not to. Now we live in a small apartment. Jennifer works part-time. I work 2 jobs. It's hard. Emma can't go to daycare. We don't have the money. Patricia doesn't talk to us anymore. She sees us as failures. But I've learned something. Responsibility. For the first time in my life, I'm standing on my own 2 feet. Without you. Without your money. Without your home. Just me. Scary. But at the same time, liberating. Dad, I don't want your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want one thing. To see Emma, please. She's your granddaughter. Margaret's granddaughter. I want to tell her stories about her grandfather. How honest he was. How strong he was. How he fought for justice. Maybe one day, years from now, Emma will understand and be proud. I'm including my phone number. Call when you're ready. Or text. I'll understand either. Apologizing, but mostly trying to learn. David. When I finished the letter, my hands were shaking. My face was wet. I had cried without realizing it. David apologized. A real, deep, painful apology. But was it enough? Did it heal the wound? Did it restore trust? I didn't know. I looked at Margaret's photo. What should I do, sweetheart? And I thought I heard her, soft, distant. But there. Forgive, Robert. But don't forget. Forgive because he's your son. But set boundaries because he's an adult. Forgive because life is short. But protect yourself because you deserve it. I picked up the phone. I dialed David's number. It rang twice. Then he answered. Hello? David's voice was anxious, hopeless, scared. David, I said. It's me. Your father. Silence, then a sob. Dad, David said, his voice broken. Dad, I'm sorry. I know, I said. I read your letter. And we need to talk. But not yet. I'm not ready yet. But I want to see Emma. Saturday, at the park. 1 hour. Just you, Emma, and me. No Patricia, no Jennifer. Just us. Yes, David said immediately. Yes, Dad. Saturday, 2 o'clock, Waterfront Park. Thank you. David, I cut him off. This doesn't mean a new beginning. It's just a step, a small step. Do you understand? I understand, he said. 1 step is enough. Thank you, Dad. I hung up. I looked out the window. Portland's night lights were shining. The snow had stopped. The sky was clear, full of stars. 1 step, I said to Margaret's photo. 1 step in the right direction. Is that enough? The photo smiled. Forever young, forever wise. Maybe it was enough. Maybe it wasn't. But at least I was moving forward. Forward. With honor. With justice. And Margaret would be proud. Saturday came. At 2 o'clock, I was at Waterfront Park. It was cold but sunny. The river flowed, ducks swam, children played in the playground. I waited. At 2:20, David appeared. He wasn't pushing Emma in a stroller. He was holding her hand. Emma was trying to walk, taking small, wobbly steps. I went over to them. David stopped when he saw me. Dad, he said. Just that. He couldn't find any more words. David, I said. I nodded. Formal. Distant. But there. Then I looked at Emma, my granddaughter, 16 months old. Margaret's eyes. Brown, curious, bright. Hello, Emma, I said, kneeling down to her eye level. I'm your grandfather. Do you remember me? Emma looked. She tilted her head. Then she smiled. A toothless, innocent, beautiful smile. Grandpa, she said. Her first word. Grandpa. My heart stopped. Then it burst. Yes, sweetheart, I said, my voice cracking. Grandpa. I'm your grandpa. Emma reached out her hand. She touched my face. Her tiny fingers caressed my cheeks. Grandpa, she repeated. David was crying. Quietly. But he was crying. I was crying too. We spent an hour in the park. Just the 3 of us. We didn't talk much. There were no words to say. We just were. Emma watched the ducks. I watched Emma. David watched the two of us. At 3 o'clock, David said, "We have to go. Emma is tired." "Okay," I said. "Can we see you again, Dad? Please?" I hesitated. Then I looked at Emma, at that innocent face, at that future. "Yes," I said. "But slowly, David. Trust is built. It takes time." "I know," David said. "However long it takes. I'll wait." They left. Emma looked back, waved. "Bye, Grandpa." "Bye, sweetheart," I said. "See you soon." I watched them until they were gone. Then I turned back to the river. I thought of Margaret. I thought of home. I thought of the years. I lost everything. But I gained one thing: myself. And maybe, just maybe, one day I'll gain David too. The real David. The strong, honest, responsible David. Time will tell. Math doesn't lie. But the human heart always holds on to hope. And hope is enough. If you liked this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about this story in the comments. Click on the box on the left to listen to the next story. Thank you for watching.